you for joining us for another informative, educational, and entertaining edition of Music and Medicine with Dr. Charles Modlin, kidney transplant surgeon, board-certified urologist, public speaker, and well-known community national leader for the elimination of health disparities, dedicated to informing you, the listening audience, about important health topics and health information that you, your family, and your community need to know, while at the same time providing you with quality entertainment, because music and entertainment is medicine. Dr. Modlin's co-hosts are Jerome Brown and registered nurse Jonathan Branch, and the program often includes special content expert guests. So, without further ado, here is the host of the show, Dr. Charles Modlin.
Hello, everybody, and happy 2023 and happy February 2023 Black History Month. We have a very special guest and program for you this evening. We're going to be speaking a little bit later in the program with Da'na Langford. She's a certified nurse midwife, and she's also the CEO of a not-for-profit organization called the Village of Healing. And she's going to talk about what her organization does to help promote maternal and fetal wellness, which is going to be the topic of discussion this evening. I wanted to also acknowledge Mr. William Reed for that great introduction. We're going to get him onto the show at some point also, so you can all meet him. That he's got a great voice, and so I really appreciate it. I'm actually honoring for Black History Month my daughter Hannah, as well as my other kids. She's a junior at Cleveland State's I can't even pronounce it. Washkowitz College of Engineering. She's a chemical engineering student. So Hannah, I honor you and thank you for your hard work and dedication. I'd like to go ahead and bring on my co-host, Mr. Jerome Brown, for this Black History Month special episode of Music and Medicine. So Jerome, are you around?
There we go, man. Hey, first episode of 2023, and it is in Black History Month, man. So it don't get no better than that, Doc. I swear.
It doesn't. You know, Jerome, people ask me all the time, what does Black History Month mean to me? So I'm going to ask you, not to put you on the spot. I mean, it means a lot of different things.
Put me on the spot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot. Yeah. I just walked in the door. You're going to hit me up with a question already, you know?
Exactly.
Black History Month to me means pride, means responsibility, means accountability, means strength, means determination, means focus, means freedom, means wisdom. And I say all these words because those are some of the things that our forefathers or people had to really focus in and get right in order for me and you, Doc, and the world to enjoy music and medicine and different platforms like this. Nothing would be the same if those people didn't have the determination and willpower to stand up, to keep driving, to get beat down, spit on, and just, inhumane circumstances. And generation by generation, somebody else carried the torch, pushed the rock a little further, and it gets us to this point in 2023, Black History Month, music and medicine. It don't get no better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. That's outstanding. Pride, respect, strength, intestinal fortitude, grit.
Yeah.
I would add, you said responsibility also. I would add expectations to that list.
Yes.
And I say that because it's our forefathers and mothers and sisters and brothers actually expected us to strengthen the successive, the younger generation, the way that in which they provided opportunities and strengthen us. So again, it's our responsibility to take it to the next level. And if we don't live up to that responsibility, we're letting down our predecessors, our ancestors. Again,
it's our civic duty. It's our civic duty to do so.
It's our civic duty. I mean, like you said, I mean, we're going through a number of challenges today, but I mean, from my perspective, I mean, to realize what they went through, not just the slaves, but even after slavery ended, the segregation, Jim Crow, racism, it still exists today. But again, it's our responsibility to give back to the younger generation. I would also add sacrifice. I mean, they sacrificed so that we would have more opportunities than they ever had or could even imagine of having. And again, there are a number of unsung heroes. We recognize Dr. Rosa Parks and everybody, but there are a lot of unsung heroes, who provided opportunities for all of us. So it's about being thankful and recognizing those who came before us and recognizing it's our responsibility to continue to move our people forward and all people.
Indeed. And to piggyback on what you were saying, there were more unsung heroes that we will never hear of than the ones we have heard of.
Right.
There were probably, how many Rosa Parks or how many Martins they were just hushed and killed before they were even able to even make it that far. Those that inspired Martin and Rosa to stand up, her auntie and uncle and, the people of strength. So it's a very, very deep situation.
So this is my main man, my father. Some people, like I have this picture hanging in my office at the hospital, and some people, they see that in the background, they think it's me. No, it's not me, it's my father. Charles Modlin Sr. He's wearing 4 National Senior Games medals in track and field that he won. He's actually set the record for 4 track and field records for men over 80. Back in, I believe it was 2006 or 2008 in Pittsburgh. I'd have to go back and remember the exact year. My mother, Grace Modlin, also is one of my heroes. This is a picture of her high school graduation. Very beautiful young woman in this picture. And my grandmother, Clara Hampton, she was born in 1888. She lived to be 103 years old, Clara Archie Hampton. So, wow. When I think of Black History Month, these are some of the people that come to mind on a daily basis. I recently came across this picture. I don't know how well it shows, but this is my mother pictured at her Greenfield, Indiana. That she was a senior at Greenfield High School in Greenfield, Indiana. The only Black student, in the class. She's right there.
What year was that?
1940. Yeah, 1940.
My mother and father were born at that time. Let's just get that in perspective.
Both my parents were born in 1924. So, my mother actually became the first Black school teacher in the history of Henry County, Indiana.
Wow.
So, both my parents made a lot of sacrifices. But we're shortly going to be joined by, as I indicated, Da'na Langford, a certified nurse midwife. And Jerome, I wanted to kind of highlight some important information pertaining to an article from the Robert Johnson. It's the Kaiser Family Foundation. Excuse me, the Kaiser Family Foundation. It's an article entitled "Racial Disparities in Maternal and Infant Care: Current Status and Efforts to Address Them." This is from November the 1st, 2022.
Okay.
People can find on Kaiser Family Foundation, but I wanted to highlight some information that really emphasizes, the important work that Da'na Langford and her organization do to improve the health of mothers and babies. So it starts out by giving a summary. It says stark racial disparities in maternal and infant in the United States have persisted for decades despite continued advances in medical care. And I'm just going to, it's a rather lengthy article, 17 pages. I'm not going to read the whole article, but it highlights.
We don't need 17 pages worth, man,
Oh, no. I'm just going to highlight some very important points that, we want the listening audience to be aware of.
Okay. Black
and American Indians and Alaska Native women have higher rates of pregnancy-related deaths compared to white women. Maternal and infant health disparities are symptoms of a broader underlying social and economic inequities that are rooted in racism and discrimination. They have higher shares of preterm birth, low birth weight. Many of their births are related to situations where they received late or no prenatal care compared to white women. And again, the women themselves women of color have a markedly higher rate of mortality than white women. Maternal deaths rates increased during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the racial disparities widened for Black women.
That's crazy.
So, further in the article, they said the increased awareness and attention to maternal and infant health have contributed to the rise in efforts and resources focused on improving health outcomes in these areas and reducing disparities. So it's a lengthy article. There's a lot of statistics and graphs and tables in the article, but it says reflecting these increased risk factors seen in women of color for higher rates of maternal and fetal mortality and infant mortality. Infants born to women of color are at higher risk for mortality compared to those born to white women. What are some of the factors driving these disparities in maternal and infant health? The factors driving these disparities are complex and multifactorial. They include differences in health insurance coverage and access to care. Again, however, they state that they're broader factors, social and economic factors, and structural and systemic racism and discrimination also play major roles. So going on further, disparities in maternal and infant health in part reflect increased barriers to care for people of color. It shows that coverage before, during, and after pregnancy facilitates access to care that supports healthy pregnancies, as well as positive maternal and infant outcomes. So health insurance obviously will help improve outcomes. Overall, people of color are more likely to be uninsured and face other barriers to care. Let me just highlight just another couple of important points. They talk about racism and mistreatment. It says research highlights the role of racism and discrimination in playing a role in driving racial disparities in maternal and infant health. So it says Indigenous, Hispanic, and Black women report significantly higher rates of mistreatment, such as shouting and scolding, ignoring, or refusing requests for help during the course of a pregnancy. Even when controlling for insurance status, income, age, and severity of condition, women of color are less likely to receive routine medical procedures and experience lower quality of care, with respect to hospital births. And again, this summarizes a number of other studies that are published in the medical literature. It says Black mothers report unfair treatment. Black adults also were more likely than white adults to report a feeling that the provider didn't believe that they were telling the truth and being refused a test, treatment, or pain medication they thought they needed. So, in summary, it talks about there are current efforts to address maternal and infant mortality. This talks about how, and then, Da'na Langford is going to talk about the role of doulas. So doulas are non-clinical assistants or helpers who are alongside the pregnant, female before she goes into delivery, into labor, during labor, into the birth, emotionally, psychologically, and then the doulas are from the that with the Da'na is going to be able to talk about that also. The percentage of maternal health physicians and registered nurses that are Black and Hispanic is lower than the share of female population of childbearing age in people of color, women of color. Doulas person before, during, and after childbirth, labor coaching, emotional support, postpartum care. Pregnant women who receive doula support have been found to have a shorter and lower C-section rate, fewer birth complications, and are more likely to initiate breastfeeding, and their infants are less likely to have low birth weights. And so I actually just became aware of what doulas are and the service that they provide. I'm a urologist, a kidney transplant surgeon, and since I have trained, the doulas actually have come into service of these pregnant individuals, and then also let's be clear that men bear a responsibility in terms of helping take care of that expectant mother, and hopefully would be there during the delivery and be present to help take care of that mother and that child, that infant, after birth. And so we've spoken about men's health. We've talked about certain aspects of women's health, but this is the first time we've actually addressed maternal and infant and fetal mortality, and it's a very important subject. I mean, we have to step up and help protect our women and children. We just wanted to get into that. Yes,
I'm gonna be honest with you. That list of things you just read off reminded me of Eddie Murphy in the Life movie, when everybody letters coming in with something bad. The dog died, the auntie died. It was just all bad news, man. So all the information was horrible. Those are horrible statistics.
Yeah,
and that's what people of color are facing. Look, how can you make it to 70 years old if you can't even make it to 1 year old?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the definition of infant mortality, death within the first year. But the statistics show that actually most of the infants who die actually die within the first month. And again, it's related to low birth weight, and lack of access. We talked about the social determinants of health. We desperately do need more healthcare providers of color, obstetrics, gynecology, physicians, advanced practice providers, certified nurse midwives, doulas, because we know they make a difference. And many Black and brown females feel more comfortable, having a healthcare provider that resembles them and understands them. So again, it's our responsibility to help the younger generation and encourage them to enter the healthcare professions. But with that said, we're going to be joined by Da'na Langford soon. But in the meantime, I know we have we wanted, this being Black History Month, we wanted to feature some of our favorite artists.
Oh yeah.
And we both are aficionados of all different genres of music, and I like classical and rock and pop. And my favorite, I've talked about it before, is the 70s music. But as an old trumpet player myself, I have to say that one of my favorite artists whom I used to see in New York City back in the 80s and 90s is Miles Davis. And so we're going to play a short clip of Miles Davis live in concert. This song is called "The Senate," and I know you're going to feature one of your favorite artists also.
Oh, absolutely, man.
So Russell, yes. You haven't seen anything yet. So the lead bass player's name is Foley.
Oh, he bad.
Yeah, he's going to play a remarkable solo here. And actually, Foley wrote this song.
Yeah, he bad, man. I heard it on the top.
I always wanted to be as cool as Miles. I never could be, was Miles Davis. That song, the name of that song was The Senate. It actually was recorded in 1988 live in Warsaw. So have you ever seen that, Jerome?
Bananas. Never seen that in my life, man. But I'll tell you one thing, he was making that guitar sing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he invented the lead. He invented the lead bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, because normally it's a lead guitar, but that's actually a bass guitar.
Yeah, he was stroking that boy.
Yeah. So his name is Foley. So what do you have to show us for Black History Month? Your favorite artist?
You know, you can never go wrong with this king here. You know what I mean? This king had so much drive that he wasn't even blessed with what me and you are blessed with, which is sight. He did everything off a field.
Ray Charles?
Oh, no. That's a good shot, though. I'll give you one more shot at this.
Ronnie Millsap. Ronnie Millsap.
Man, I knew it. Look, we're going to, Doc, that's it. No more guesses for you. 3 strikes you out. Everybody knows what it is. Yeah. You got to do the pop. You got to do the rock. Yeah.
Always in the Key of Life. I love that album.
Music like that is good for the soul.
You know, it didn't make much sense. That's the longings.
They don't make music like this anymore.
Nah, man, it's hard to come by.
At your celebration, only in my mind, that there ought to be a time that we should set aside to show just how much we love you. And I'm sure that you agree, it was perfectly for the half of one party. The day you came to me, happy birthday to yourself. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Never understood how someone who stands for good could not have a day that would. He said, aside from the recognition, that it should never be. Just because some cannot see, the dream is lazy. That they should make it become an illusion. We honor everything that they said first time will bring. In our heart we sing the Mandela and Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. We know that there should be a holiday where peace is celebrated. You are the world. Tell me something true. Some people like me and you who know the way to truth. It's love and unity for all of God's children. Be a great event. And the hope it should be spent in the wings of those who live the life of the one and soul people. So let us start again.
Good to read that.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, man.
Aretha, everybody. Don't see Diana Ross up here.
Gee, now you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I mean, man? Just unity all over the place, all over the board, man. And the reason I picked that song was because a lot of people didn't know that he made that back when they were trying to get Martin Luther King Jr. birthday a holiday. They thought it was just a birthday song. Everybody now just thinks it's a birthday song. It was a significance to that song. It was a lot of power. And, Stevie had a lot to do with that day becoming the holiday for our people, man. It was great, great song.
Yeah, that's Black history. And not a lot of people know. And again, I'm aware of this because I'm a kidney transplant surgeon. He developed kidney disease, kidney failure, requiring dialysis, and he received a kidney transplant. A couple of years ago. I forget exactly when.
God bless.
But God bless him, and he's really changed a lot of lives. I mean, he's had a great impact. His life has enriched the lives of, millions and millions all over the world.
Millions.
So is Da'na Langford with us? Is she able to come onto the platform? Da'na, there she is.
Yes.
The star of the show.
Not hardly. I heard Dr. Modlin say he wanted to be as cool as Miles Davis.
Yes.
I said he is the Miles Davis in healthcare for us, as far as we concerned around here.
Oh, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate that. It's
yes.
It's what I do is the successes I've had is again because of my parents and others who provided me opportunities, and it's the people I work with who have stepped up to who are willing and knowledgeable in terms of addressing a lot of the health inequities that we face. And that includes you, Da'na, and your organization. And before you came on, I kind of briefed the audience about an article that I came across from the Kaiser Family Foundation, Racial Disparities in Maternal and Infant Health, published November the 1st, 2022, talks about the current status and efforts to address them. In this article, it highlighted a lot of the root causes for higher rates of maternal and infant mortality, especially in women of color. And it talked about the doulas also. And again, I acknowledge my ignorance because I wasn't really aware of the impact that the doulas had. And, research. And again, as you explained to me, I recently toured your facility, Village of Healing. Doulas actually make a difference. The certified nurse midwives make a difference. So how about telling the listening audience a little bit about who you are, what your organization is, the services it provides, where it's located, how people can reach your organization?
So I'm Da'na Langford. I have the privilege to serve as a certified nurse midwife to our community, but I'm also the CEO and medical director of Village of Healing and the Village of Healing Center. Village of Healing started as a community development organization with a different approach to healing. And in that approach, we simply noted that we have everything we need inside of our own community, as one of my board members likes to remind us. A lot of times I think as Black people, we like to look outside of our community and we look for the savior complex. So we're looking at other communities to help us and to save us. And we have everything we need inside of our community to make sure that we're not only surviving, but thriving. And so that's the goal and focus of Village of Healing through community program. And a year ago, so we'll be celebrating our year anniversary on February 14th, our healthcare center. And our healthcare center looked at the data, which is what we were constantly being told. What does the data say as far as action steps? And myself and the co-founder and my business partner, Tanisha Gaines, were constantly in meetings hearing about infant and maternal mortality and being told that Cleveland, Ohio is the worst city to have a baby if you're Black. We were constantly being told about the deaths of our babies and the deaths of our sisters and aunts and cousins. And so we decided that we were exhausted with just having the conversation, and there needed to be an action step. And so we followed the data, which is what everybody tells us to do. Follow the data, which says that if your provider looks like you, your outcomes are better, your disparities decrease, your patient satisfaction is better, your informed consent is there. And so we opened the Village of Healing Center with the prime goal of having Black providers focused on Black patients. And so our center right now is women's health and obstetric health, so pregnancy, postpartum, your pap smears, annual exams, painful periods, heavy periods. We know Black women, about 80% of us will suffer from fibroids. And so that's where we step in to have those conversations and treat those patients. But then we also added the mental health component, because what we know as well is, as you read off those disparities and those statistics earlier, I had the chance to hear, that's a mental health approach to it as well. That's a PTSD approach. And so what we know is that those disparities exist because of racism and because of the toxic stress that Black women are forced to endure daily, which causes weathering in our body. It causes our systems to age much faster and all of that. And so we needed to add a mental health component as well, because we're constantly being forced to hear those statistics. But not only that, you turn on the TV, just think about it, the Tyree Nichols case. We're constantly forced to look at that daily, hear that daily, all of the other Black deaths and bodies that we see on TV. And so that's all playing a part in our lives daily and in our pregnancies. And so we chose to add a mental health component as well. So we've added a mental health provider to the center as well. So that's just what we do. At the center, it's located in Euclid, Ohio. Best way to describe it is on Lakeshore in the same plaza as Kim's Wings. Everybody know where Kim's is. So we used to say Aldi's. People don't care nothing about Aldi's. They like, oh, you mean with Kim's?
Where the sauce at?
So we are in the same plaza with Kim's Wings. And the information is scrolling at the bottom, but you can reach us at 216-815-4325. It's easy, 216-815-HEAL, or on our website, villageofhealingcle.com.
I'll tell you what, I mean, Jerome, I had an opportunity, a couple of weeks ago to tour the Village of Healing. And when you go into that plaza, it looks like, the little storefront. Mm-hmm. You go in there, it's a massive office. They have conference rooms where they have group shared appointments. They have big screen TVs where they can receive education. They have exam rooms. They have physicians and advanced practice providers seeing patients in there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's remarkable. I mean,
wow.
You didn't mention CEO Langford, the artistic work in there from local Cleveland authors, artists.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we have a wall full of Black art, all donated by Black artists from Cleveland. What we wanted to do also was bring back art and culture. Yes. We know that, as a community, that's somewhere that we thrive. We are artistic, creative people. And so we wanted to bring that back as well. And then in addition to that, each room is named after a Black person in healthcare that you typically don't hear about.
Look at y'all.
So we have one of the rooms named after the first Black woman to receive her MD degree, first Black woman to get a doctorate in psychiatry. Our exam rooms are named after the 3 Black women that were tortured in the name of gynecology during slavery. And so we wanted to acknowledge those women as being the mothers of gynecology. The white physician that tortured those women gets all the credit, but those women's bodies were sacrificed so that we could have what we have today, and they were completely ignored. So we wanted to acknowledge them. So it's 4,000 square feet of color, of culture. When you walk in the door, we're very systematic that you make sure you see yourself and it is a safe space for you.
Now check out, Da'na. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your average person, never heard of the facility before. What do you provide the woman? What is she coming to you for? she had never, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we do prenatal care. So when you're pregnant, you come see us for all your prenatal care. And then we also are affiliated and in partnership with Birthing Beautiful Communities, which is the doulas that Dr. Modlin mentioned earlier. So when you come in for your prenatal care, we automatically refer you to Birthing Beautiful Communities, where you get a doula that also looks like you and is able to help advocate for you. What we know is we don't do the deliveries at our center. We send you to whatever hospital you want to go to for the actual delivery.
Yeah,
but since we can't be there, and we know the numbers are dismal of Black providers that will be there, what we want to do is make sure you're provided with an advocate to walk in that door with you. And then as a patient and as your doula advocate, they always have access to our providers. So if something happens in that room, and we've developed a wonderful relationship with Metro, Cleveland Clinic, we're able to talk to someone to advocate on your behalf as well. And if we need to, we coming up there. But we want to make sure that you're safe in that delivery. We also do your postpartum care, so you come right back to that safe environment. And then we do our women's health. Like we said, the annual exams, your pap smears, your birth control. Black women, like I said, 80% are suffering from fibroids and heavy bleeding. And as Black women, we think it's normal. And it's not. And so we are able to evaluate you, have those conversations with you. We hear you when you say you're in pain for your cycle or your menstrual cycle. And so we're able to evaluate that. If it's beyond our scope, again, we have doctors that we work with Cleveland Clinic and with Metro. That we send you to, that we've actually worked with, we trust, and we know are providing awesome care.
So, Jerome, men are encouraged also to attend and go to the Village of Healing to receive a lot of this education that their women are receiving. Also, it's very important for men to be aware of and knowledgeable about these issues. I wanted to read again very quickly some statistics. I didn't actually highlight these numbers before. Black and American Indian, Alaska Native women have pregnancy-related mortality rates that are about 3 times higher for Black women and 2 times higher for AIAN women, respectively, compared to the rate for white women. And get this, so these disparities increase by maternal age. For Black women between ages of 30 to 34, the gap widens to over 4 times higher than white women. And let's see, it says these disparities in pregnancy-related mortality persist across education levels. A lot of times people are misled to believe that it's just individuals who are not educated or who are impoverished. It says, notably, the pregnancy-related mortality for Black women who completed college education or higher is 5.2 times higher than the rate for white women with the same educational attainment, and 1.6 times higher than the rate for white women with less than a high school diploma.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. And a lot of times in these meetings, we were being told that this was a poor Black woman problem and a poor Black baby problem, right? There was no access to care. You weren't getting your prenatal care. It had to do with insurance. But like you said, the statistics shows that the older you get and the more education you have, your maternal mortality rate actually increases to about 5 to 6 times the rate of white women. So we knew this wasn't a poor Black woman problem, but it was easy to victim blame in these meetings, right?
Of course.
It's easy to say because you didn't get the education or because you are lower socioeconomic status, you're not getting your appointments, you're not getting your prenatal care. And First Year Cleveland did a study to actually show that the babies that had died, it was 50% of those mothers had public insurance, but the other 50% had private insurance. So it was equal. So we knew this wasn't a poor Black woman or a poor Black baby problem. This was a Black woman and baby problem. And so I think that's the conversation and the narrative that has to change. And we have to recognize that. And we knew when the studies came out as professional Black women, we were at the core of that racism, right? We're forced to go into these predominantly white institutions and environments to work every day and experience the toxic stress of just walking into a boardroom and you being the only, and having to think about everything you say, everything you do, what you wear.
You sneeze wrong, you're out of there.
Yeah.
You know?
And so we knew as professional Black women that this is what we were facing. And so it increased the rates of our infant and maternal mortality.
So Jerome, she knows her stuff.
Man, this is incredible, man. Look, I'm learning that this is a lot of stuff to bring in. You know,
and I heard you give to Dr. Modlin some examples about the Kaiser study, and I read some of it where it talked about health insurance and all those myriad of all those different reasons, but all of those reasons still point back to racism, right? Mm-hmm. The health insurance, that points back to the generational wealth, right? We know that I just watched the 1619 project. We know that 70% of low income wages workers are Black. And so that's that generational wealth problem, which is a result of racism. So all of this stuff still points back to racism. And that's the conversation that we need to have.
Racism and reparations.
Exactly. So tell us, those in the listening audience and how can the community, how can the corporate world, how can, government elected officials help support and sponsor the Village of Healing?
So I think the biggest thing is that recognizing that Black organizations are the answer, right? We have the similar lived experience as the community. Again, the data says when you walk into a room and your provider looks like you, when you walk as a Black woman that's pregnant into a room and that provider is Black, that infant mortality rate automatically drops by 1/3. And so what we have to do is do a couple different things, but support the Black organizations that are on the ground doing the work. And like you said, that's Village of Healing with Black midwives and Black healthcare practitioners, but also doulas. And that's what your birthing beautiful communities that we see. We know that the doulas are making the difference, and Black midwives, as an article just came out, are making the difference. But we see that all the way back to slavery, when midwives came over and were stolen from their land and transplanted here in the United States, how we delivered more than 50% of the babies in the South, and the infant mortality rate was low. Once white obstetrics got introduced, that's when the infant mortality rate started to raise. But what there was a systematic eradication of that Black midwife. So what they did was they started a campaign, those Black OBGYNs and Black public health nurses, to say Black midwives were dirty, they were incompetent, they didn't know what they were doing, and they were uneducated. And so people threw up their hands like, well, wait, maybe I do need to go into a hospital and have a white OBGYN. And that's when we started seeing those numbers rise. And from that, right now, Black midwives only account for about 5 to 8% of the Black midwives, of the midwives completely in this country. 10% of nurses in this country are Black. 3 to 5% of the physicians that we see in this country are Black. And so what we need to do, number one, is make sure that we're supporting the Black organizations and Black providers that are trying to make a difference in opening places like Village of Healing and birth centers like BBC is doing. We see Birth Detroit doing it in Detroit. There's another one in Memphis, Life Choices. Those are the organizations that we need to support. But we also need to ensure that we're creating pipelines for Black students into healthcare fields. And we're supporting Black students into those healthcare fields. I didn't have a mentor my entire time, and I fought to get through undergrad and graduate school. And I was able to do that because, like you said, I was privileged enough to have a family that supported me. I got a lot of student loans, but I was able to do that. Not everybody has that privilege. And so what we need to do is make sure we're entering into the middle schools, having the conversation that there's more than just medical assistants. There's more than just STNAs, but the sky is the limit, and making sure that we're supporting them with mentorship, advocacy, and getting them involved in seeing Black providers and Black healthcare workers and knowing that this is attainable and making sure the money is there to help us get through.
Wow. So I have a question for you. Me and Doc both answered this question a little bit earlier. What does Black History Month mean to you?
Oh, Black History Month to me is my ancestors. It is a celebration. I jokingly told my mother at brunch on Sunday, and the table next to us was all Black. I'm Black every day, but in February, I'm blackity black. And so in February, and I try to do this every day, and Village of Healing does it. I can say it through the center every day, but it's an acknowledgement of our ancestors. It's an acknowledgement of the blood that was shed, the tears that were cried, the work that was done for me to be able to even serve as a certified nurse midwife, for me to be able to walk out and say, I've started Village of Healing. My goal every day is, number one, to make my ancestors proud. And then number two, to make sure that I'm a good ancestor for those to follow. And so Black History Month is a time that we just choose to educate. And the country has selected these 28 days to educate the country about what we really bring to society. And it's why 1619 is one of my favorites, because it says Black people are democracy. Black people are United States of America. We built it, and we continue to do great things for this country.
You're all right, girl. You're all right. You know, it's really, because I talk to people as they are. And you're just a strong woman, you know, doing what you do, determined to make a difference. And I recognize that, you know, so we all need to be commended when, you know, because you're going to hear it from other people here and there. But I'm just telling you, as a human and regular old person, when you go home at night, take that deep breath. You can be proud of what you've done.
Thank
and you
you.
can be proud of what you're doing. You will be long gone, but your works will continue on. So
thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know.
So you do have aspirations of opening additional locations. You know, I'm aware of that. So can you briefly, you know, tell the audience, I mean, what is the training of a certified nurse midwife? How long does it take? How does one become a certified nurse midwife?
So there's a couple different ways to do it, but a certified nurse midwife is essentially a master's educated registered nurse. So you have to become a registered nurse first as a certified nurse midwife. But there are three types of midwives. There's a certified midwife, a certified professional midwife, and a certified nurse midwife. In the state of Ohio, only a certified nurse midwife can practice right now in hospitals. A CPM or certified professional midwife can practice at birth centers and do home births. But we got some awesome Black certified nurse midwives that have left those systems. So they've walked away from the hospital systems in Cleveland to create home birthing practices, because they recognize, number one, as Black women in the system, it wasn't good for them and it was traumatic for them as employees. And then they saw how Black women were treated. And so they started home birthing practices. So in order to become a certified nurse midwife, you have to become an RN first, and then you go back for your master's degree. So you could do that by doing your RN as your bachelor's degree, and then going back to do your graduate degree in graduate school and getting your master's in it. I went a different route. I chose to spend a little bit more money, but originally I went to undergrad, and my bachelor's is actually in sports medicine, athletic training. Didn't feel it was my calling. I started working at a homeless shelter in Cleveland, and I had the opportunity to work with a nurse practitioner, and I loved how she talked to that population. I loved how she saw people. She didn't just see their circumstance, but she actually saw people and treated people. So I knew I wanted to do nurse practitioner, but then I had the opportunity to watch a delivery with a certified nurse midwife. And that's when I just fell in love with my profession. And so I went back and I did what's called a graduate entry program for individuals who have a bachelor's degree already in something else. And I did my RN and my master's at the same time. And so that's how you do the certified nurse midwife. Now, what we are fighting for and having conversations with elected officials is how that looks and how to expand the practice of midwifery in order to broaden that access to care. So how do we get certified professional midwives more in this conversation? And how do we bring certified midwives into this conversation? Right now, they practice legally in New York, but why are we not opening that up for Ohio as well? If we're really truly talking about access to care, then we need to make sure that Black women have access to care. Yeah. And that means all midwives.
Anything I can use?
Midwifery?
Yeah, midwifery.
That was smooth, man. She slid it in. I said, okay, all right, I see.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, anything I can do to help be an advocate, to get in front of any legislators, elected officials, sign any petitions. I mean, you can count on me.
Thank you.
As a representative of Dr. Charles Modlin, I am an employee of Metro Health. I'm speaking on my own accord. I'm not here representing my employer, but I know we've been in discussions and talks at Metro Health in terms of collaboration. So I know that Metro Health as an organization. I know our new CEO, Dr. Erica Steed, who is an RN by training also. I mean, she's highly supportive of collaborating with you and our entire Metro Health system. We're eager to get that collaboration started and mature that. So
that's sweet.
We thank you for coming onto the program, Music and Medicine. By the way, what type of music do you like? I never asked you that.
Oh, so I grew up to Grover, Washington.
Oh, okay. Boy.
So you could tell I grew up with some old grandparents from down south.
Right up your alley, Doc.
Yep.
So I grew up with Grover, Washington, Najee. So I grew up to that jazz. Yep. And at family dinners, I'm forced to still listen to that jazz. They will tell me to cut my music off. But my favorite artist, I am a huge Notorious Big fan. So I have his artwork everywhere. In my house, there's several, but I am a huge Notorious Big fan.
I hate to admit it, I'm not really that familiar with him. I know of him. Mm-hmm. So I need to educate myself around that genre of music. But no, I'm a fan of all different kinds of music. And
yeah, absolutely. I know I was jamming backstage listening to Miles Davis and Stevie Wonder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see. I wonder if they ever appeared together, if they ever performed together. We need to look that up. Mm-hmm. I bet they probably did at some point.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see. Yeah.
Because they were both big civil rights advocates.
Absolutely.
He still is. So, but again, we thank Da'na Langford from the Village of Healing for coming on. We're going to have you back on the platform at some point in the future. We want to encourage people to visit your organization out in Euclid. We want people to contact you, these expectant mothers and fathers. You're providing a remarkable service. You're saving lives. You're improving lives of women, mothers, and their children. So thank you for coming on. Jerome, any last closing words, remarks, thoughts?
Hey, this is Black History Month. Make your ancestors proud. Mm-hmm. They sacrificed. So don't take not one day off. Utilize all your time this month to do something positive, and then spread that to the people around you. Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't let yourself down, and don't let nobody else down. Let's get to it.
So I'd like to also thank Russell Johnson. He's the production manager behind the scenes. I want to thank K-Hawk 2 Productions for providing an opportunity for us to do this podcast. And thank you, the listening audience, for tuning in. We're going to actually have additional programs this February 2023 in honor of Black History Month. So stay tuned and spread the word. And hopefully, and I'm sure you all have learned something, from this episode of Music and Medicine. I certainly have. And so with that, we bid you all adieu and have a pleasant and.
Can I get a fist up, everybody?
Yeah, this album is dedicated to all the teachers that told me I never amount to nothing. To all the people that lived above the buildings that I was hustling from that called the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter. Yeah. And to all my peoples in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby. Shake it. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Molly Mall. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. smoking the bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke? The hard, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. Born sinner, the opposite of a winner. Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? Peace to Ron G, Brucey B, Kid Capri, Funk Master Flex, Love Bug, Star Ski. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call a crib, same number, same hood. It's all good. And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
You know very well who you are.
Money hold.
Don't let 'em hold you down.
Bank.
Reach for the stars.
So.
You gotta go. Cause you're the only one. I'll give you good.
I made this change from a common thief to up close and personal with Robin Leach. And I'm far from cheap. I smoke skunk with my peeps all day. Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. The Moet and Alizé keep me pissy. Girls used to diss me, now they write letters cause they miss me. I never thought it could happen, this rapping stuff. I was too used to packing gats and stuff. Now honeys play me close like butter play toast. From the Mississippi down to the East Coast. Condos in Queens for weeks. Sold out seats to hear Biggie Small speak. Living life without fear. Putting 5 carats in my baby girl ear. Lunches, brunches, interviews by the fool. Considered a fool cause I dropped out of high school. Stereotypes of a black male misunderstood. And it's still all good. And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
You know very well who you are. Don't let 'em hold you down. Reach for the stars. Cause you're the only one. I'll give you good.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this. 50-inch screen, money green leather sofa. Got 2 rides, a limousine with the chauffeur. Phone bill about 2 G's flat. No need to worry, my accountant handles that. And my whole crew is lounging, celebrating every day, no more public housing. Thinking back on my one-room shack. Now my mom pimps an act with minks on her back. And she loves to show me off, of course. Smiles every time my face is up in the sauce. We used to fuss when the landlord dissed us. No heat, wonder why Christmas missed us. Birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. Damn right, I like the life I live. Cause I went from negative to positive and it's all And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
You know very well who you are. Don't let 'em hold you down.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
Cause you're the only one.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know. Let the beat down in the house. Junior Mafia, Mad Flavor.
I see you,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.